Good morning from Meopham. Meopham, silent O, silent H. When I was doing a recce for today's route, I discovered that there's going to be a lot more that we may see than I was expecting. And considering that I don't come out and do rural Kent walks that much, I am very much looking forward to my adventure. So from the village sign here in Meopham, on with the walk. I want to point out the station count down in the bottom because I like to keep track of all the stations which I've visited across the country. But if you've been following my videos in order, you'll find that I actually missed out a station. That's because I've realised 5 years later I once changed trains at Grimsby Town and I didn't add it to my list. So that's completely my mistake. Grimsby Town, I guess, is now station 6, 7, 8. So already I'm discovering something quite unexpected. With the village sign back there, I noticed a depiction of a windmill, which can only mean that there is one in the area, but I didn't know of it. So after a bit of impromptu research, I discovered that yes, there is indeed one, but just the base of it, the sails are gone. I've come a little bit further south than I would have liked to come and have a look at this, but I'm glad that I did, otherwise, you know, I would have missed it out. I might not come back to Meopham again. So I've made it back up from the windmill, and behind me here is the street, literally the street, which I was going to turn off and head down, right by the brilliantly named George Inn. George Inn Meopham, am I right? I said it wrong, it's Meopham. So finally, after more road walking than I was anticipating at the beginning of this walk, I'm about to head out into the fields, into the countryside. This is much more like it. This is one of my favourite paths to take on any walk. Just straight across a completely flat field like this where nothing is growing on either side. You get some great views as well, including the two tallest pylons in the country and the Dartford crossing. Cater Park Country Park, we're calling it that apparently. It's quite strange to go from an open field into a woodland. I'm actually just south of Soul Street Station here, which is quite close to Meopham. There's a row of about 5 stations which I have not used, so I will go back to Soul Street one day to do a walk around. In fact, this walk and that one I've been contemplating doing for, I think, the last couple of years now, so it's great to finally be out doing one of them. Actually, to be fair, it is still quite open in here. This is the thing with field walks. You never know what's going to be in the field. It could be completely empty, like the one we saw earlier, or you could be head high against something. And over the railway line, Soul Street Station is just out of view around the corner up there. What an incredible view looking back to where we just walked across. Continuing with what I said about you never know what you're going to find in a field, I'm walking across some sort of orchard now. Parsonage Farms, apparently. I've got a diagonal path across each of the rows. This is quite odd. There's so many great things about walks like this. You usually have these paths to yourself. There's just no one around. So when you're in the middle of a field, you're literally surrounded by nothing. And then you just come across some very strange rural landscapes like this, which are, you know, very unfamiliar to someone who lives in the city. I feel like this is my first proper countryside field walk of the year, and these are definitely some of my favourites to do. I don't think I've ever walked a path like this in my life. This is really cool. I'm really enjoying this. They've had to make space here for the giant pylon. I can actually hear the electricity cackling away in the wires up there. I'm now making it down into the village of Cobham. It's good to see that the church clock at least has the right time. This feels like a very old school village. It's very nice. As far as I'm aware, this is not the same The Street that we saw earlier. There's really two this close to each other. Okay, so there's something very specific that I want to find around here, but I've had to come a little bit off of the beaten track to try and find it. A little bit of a strange wall here, just tucked into all of this overgrowth. There's a bit more over here, it seems. Okay, so there's actually a lot of parts to it. So there's one there, there's one over there, they come all the way around here. This is a big site and there's about 4 of these that I want to find. It's going to be quite tricky to find the others because I'm going to have to kind of trample my way through all of this. I'm guessing on top of this mound here is where the second one is going to be, if I can make it to the top. Oh wow, incredible. I'm actually on top of the foundations of it. I get a clear 360 view of the entire site. So this is in fact an old anti-aircraft battery left over from the war, being reclaimed by nature, abandoned, decrepit, still just lying here at the back of some random field in Kent. It's quite extraordinary really that this is still just here. I'm glad that I at least managed to get in here and have a look at it. I guess I now got a title and thumbnail for my video. So I guess it didn't come much of a surprise then. Whoa, what's this bit down here? It's like the main central part of it, no? Like the headquarters area. Oh wow, okay, there is more than one entrance. Yeah, the ground is actually very soggy underfoot, so I'm not going to walk over to that side, but I might as well go around to it instead. This is very, very cool. I could of course be stupid and jump to the other side, but I'm definitely not going to risk that. I could make it, but absolutely not. I've trampled my way around, and from this side you do get a better look into some of the buildings here. Up the path from the main central hub bit, it looks like I've come across battery number 3. Okay, I've managed to make it to number 4. I'm glad that I got to all of them. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, there's like loads of moths. I'm gonna have to deal with the moths, aren't I? This is like the best preserved one out of all of them. Whoa. Is that a fireplace? That's weird. I think I've saved the best one till last. I guess I gotta get out of here now, right? Back across the field. It was worth coming out here today just to explore this alone. Not to mention everywhere else we've already been and what's yet to come. Okay, I'm not too sure how I'm going to get out of this way because it is very overgrown. There's a lot of stinging nettles. That's a bit much to get through. I'm not exactly doing a straight line mission here. Okay, I found the way that I came in. I have to get back across the field of horses though, which I'm hoping they're not going to care about me. Sorry, what's this? I'm back on the road, but I've just noticed something hidden in the trees over here. What is this? This must have been connected to it, surely. Whoa. What? Look at that roof. Just an unexpected addition, I guess. One extra little building. So mission accomplished. I explored an abandoned anti-aircraft battery. I've been in a few abandoned buildings and whatnot before. It's important to always remember, take only photos, leave only footprints, and break only silence. And twigs, I guess, as well. There's something different about war defense structures like that. I mean, we've come across pillboxes already in a couple of my videos, but to come across a site as huge as that, multiple batteries, like, I can't imagine exactly how it would have been to have lived through the world wars, but to think that people defended my country from that spot, and now it's just been reclaimed by nature and it's just a ruin tucked back there and no one really knows about it. It's just, there's something very strange about it, and when you really stop to think, it's quite cool in a way as well that it remains there after all this time. I'm really happy that I got to do that, because that wasn't in the original plan for this adventure. I think I may have just looked at the route later on after I had plotted it, and I noticed the anti-aircraft battery pop up on the map, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was there. So as soon as I found out about it, I had to give it a go and see if I could visit it, and luckily I managed to. That was a lot of fun. Even after all that though, we're only about halfway through the walk. I've still got a lot left to go, so I should probably get a move on, because that took some time. That's another National Trust sign to add to the collection. Already this is showing signs as to how nice this is going to be. There was one leaflet left by the welcome sign, kind of crumpled in there, so it's not the best quality, but I always like to pick one of these up if I find them at a place which I'm visiting. There were more leaflets here. I just jammed my one back in because it's hard to put in, and got a better quality version out. This impressive structure here is the highlight of Cobham Wood, this mausoleum. I thought this would be a very popular hangout spot. I thought there'd be picnic tables here, there'd be people hanging around, but there's no one. This is the thing with a lot of National Trust properties like this. The land was privately owned by someone and then sold off to the National Trust, who then opened it for the public to wander around and explore in. On the map around here, it suggested that you can see the ruin of an old gamekeeper's house, but I couldn't find anything except this strange hole in the ground, which seems to be right on the marker of the ruin, so I'm guessing the foundations of it were just here. Oh, actually, yeah, hang on. There is actually some brick remains. There's another marker on my map now as I pass down this path. In there, it must be. See some more ruins, but that's labelled as Toe Monument. I don't know what a toe monument is. Wow. There are a number of ways I could have made it across Cobham Woods, but I'm glad I've taken this path because this is incredible. I'm quite blown away really by how nice this section of the walk is. That's a pretty cool tunnel underneath the railway line up there. I don't want to go through it though. My turning's over here, away from this path. Whew, that was a steep path up from where we were just walking. Great view back though, to the fields we walked across. So I found a foot crossing here over the railway line, and it's somewhere along this point where it inspired me to do this walk in the first place. I was travelling along on the train, I saw some people walking in the nearby woods. I looked at the map, saw the area, saw it was quite large, looked good enough to do a walk across, jotted it down on my list of ideas for walks, and then I remember the evening that I actually plotted this walk out, and here I am doing it now, all thanks to passing by on the train somewhere here. Right, what do we have here? A Eurostar train travelling across the Medway Viaduct on High Speed 1 set a new UK rail speed record. Wow, 208 miles per hour, 30th of July 2003. I didn't know this was here. Nice. Okay, it wasn't Eurostar. Well, here it is, the Medway Viaduct. There's a way up onto it, but then there's no way down into the retail park where I find myself. So I've had to go all the way around on the road, passing by an unusual theme park as well. Kent's best day out, apparently. Diggerland. Whose idea was that? That's hilarious. And it's also started spitting with rain a little bit, so it's become quite dramatic as I'm now by the River Medway, as it's opening up into its estuary form, by the huge bridge. What better video to actually come across another pillbox overlooking the Medway Valley itself and the viaduct in the distance. It stopped raining, by the way. There's a very quick shower. So I use a mix of Google Maps, Strava and OS Maps to plan my walks. Strava and OS Maps kind of show me the footpaths and which ones I want to take. And then I use Google Maps to use Street View to see if them paths actually exist, whether they are public or private or not. But sometimes there's this very strange thing where Strava and OS Maps don't show the public footpaths, but Google Maps does. This is the case here on this little kind of island, I guess, that sticks out onto the Medway. Google Maps shows the paths across it, Strava and OS Maps don't. And so I wasn't sure if this was accessible or not. Luckily, it seems like it is, which is great, because this is quite a nice path to take. Oh, and in case you were wondering, I plot my walks on OS Maps and then follow the route on my phone, and then I record my routes using Strava. Sometimes the distance plotted on OS Maps don't always match up with the distance recorded on Strava, but definitely won't today, because, you know, it went down to the windmill at the beginning. That's going to add considerable distance on today's walk. No parking, and yet there's like 20 cars here. A couple of them are clamped. I mean, this one's been broken into. And even up there, like, you wouldn't think there was a footpath. It literally says private road, no unauthorized access. No wonder I didn't think it was that accessible. So where I was just walking is known as Temple Marsh, and it's named so because of this building here, this little temple, which I can't get to because it is completely fenced off and locked up. It is an English heritage site, so it's open at certain times, but I don't quite know when that is. Onto the bridge over the River Medway. Started spitting again. This bridge connects Strood and Rochester together. I walked over this about 4.5 years ago, coming from Strood Station to have an explore of the town of Rochester. It's important that I say that it's a town, because up until 1998 it was actually a city. It's been demoted, poor old Rochester, to a town, but it's a really nice place to go and explore and fantastic place to end a walk. I mean, I already see where I want to go immediately. Not only do you get fantastic views of the River Medway, but there's a castle there too, and the trains are passing by in the background. Wow, that's just quite epic really, isn't it? What a majestic building. There's no way I could come to Rochester and not get a shot of the castle. I assume there was a moat here. It definitely looks like there potentially was. And opposite the castle you have Rochester's cathedral, equally as impressive. People commonly mistake a cathedral as the reason why a place is a city, but that's not the case, clearly. Because it started to rain again, I think everyone's scarpered, which is completely fine because I've got this whole place to myself. I remember coming here before and there was so many people mingling around. Whenever I do come to a place that has a castle or a cathedral, I love to visit it. It's just iconic British infrastructure, isn't it? Yeah, I really do like it here. Rochester's really nice. I would recommend a visit if you haven't been. Oh yeah, I was going to point this out. It was also a favourite of Charles Dickens, Rochester. I think he was seen here a couple of days before he died. Even the high street is gorgeous here in Rochester. It's a much better town centre than your Basildons and Northamptons. I was going to say it's full of very independent shops, but there's a Costa Coffee. So I've made it to the end at Rochester Station. You could probably tell that it's quite a new station building. I remember quite a few years ago I was passing through here on the train and thought, this looks quite new. And I left on the train and saw the old platforms and thought, oh, this looks quite old. The station was resited. It's been modernised with lifts, longer platforms, and is actually situated much closer to the town. You can actually see the cathedral right there. I would like to go and see where the old station still is, but that's actually quite a while back that way. I would like one day to come back and spend more time in Rochester. There is a brilliant walk called the Medway Valley Way, which literally is just a river all the way up to here from Tunbridge. So long in fact that would be done in a few sections, but even if I don't explore Rochester much that day, I'd still like to come back. I think there's some new developments on the other side of the railway. Chatham is just up there. That would be fun to explore. So yeah, come to Rochester. Very nice place, but this is where it ends for me today. So I'm gonna go catch my train. By the way, I changed trains at Herne Hill on the way home, which I hadn't done before. So yet another new station.
The next station is Meopham.
I'm hoping that I'm not going to miss out a windmill. I didn't know there was a windmill, so considering it's on the village sign, I don't know of it. I'm worried I'm going to miss it out. I don't think there's one. I hope there's not one. Or if there is one, I hope I see it.